Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor, the younger granddaughter of the late Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, is preparing for her summer exams at the University of St Andrews. Discussions about her future title continue, as the possibility of her becoming a working royal remains on hold. Meanwhile, debates about her title persist, particularly in light of the 1917 letters patent, which could potentially recognize her as a princess rather than a lady. The 1917 letters patent, issued by King George V, defined who could carry royal titles and remained relatively obscure for over a century. During World War I, when many monarchs were losing their thrones, George V made decisions that sometimes had tragic personal consequences. Despite being largely ignored by the public for decades, these decisions are now among the most discussed sets of royal regulations. One question they raise is whether Louise could become Her Royal Highness. In case you haven't been following the news, here's what George V decided: the children of the monarch and their male line grandchildren are entitled to the titles of prince or princess and referred to as His or Her Highness. However, the current rules still favor men over women, meaning that the children of the monarch's son can be His or Her Highness, but the descendants of a daughter cannot. This is where Louise comes in. Queen Elizabeth II had 3 sons. The children of her 2 elder sons, Charles and Andrew, were born as His or Her Royal Highness. However, in 1999, when her younger son got married, Her late Majesty issued a statement saying that after consultation, it had been decided that his children would not be entitled to the style of His or Her Royal Highness. This decision was announced when Prince Edward married Sophie Rhys-Jones. Their wedding took place in June 1999 at St George's Chapel in Windsor, less than 2 years after the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, and during one of the biggest crises faced by Elizabeth II. The public outpouring of grief over the princess turned into anger when the focus was on the decision to strip Diana of her Royal Highness title after her divorce. In such an atmosphere, titles were a contentious issue. Thus, Edward did not receive a dukedom upon marriage, and the royal family stated that, despite the letters patent, his children would receive the titles belonging to the children of an earl. In 2003, the then Earl and Countess of Wessex had a daughter, who was introduced to the world as Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor. Her younger brother, born in 2007, took the title of Viscount Severn. In March 2023, King Charles appointed Edward as the Duke of Edinburgh, which resulted in James being referred to as the Earl of Wessex. However, Louise's title remained unchanged. It's worth noting that the daughter of a duke is also referred to as Lady. It's unclear whether both James and Louise can be addressed as His or Her Royal Highness. Their mother, Sophie, seems to think so. In an interview before Lady Louise turned 18, she said that Her Royal Highness and Princess were something her daughter could use but hadn't done so because of the decision made by Sophie and Edward. But she added that Louise could make a different choice when she turned 18. Louise did not do so and remained Lady. However, others argue that the monarch's will, expressed in the statement published during the wedding, is a specific decision that His or Her Royal Highness is not up for discussion for Louise and James. Yet, there is a growing possibility that Louise will be asked to take on royal duties at some point. The number of working members of the royal family is decreasing, and as the Duke of Kent and his sister, Princess Alexandra, are now in their 80s, the number of engagements they can undertake is likely to decrease further. The Duke and Duchess of Gloucester are in their 70s, and Princess Anne turns 72 in August. In 10 years, filling the royal diary could become more challenging. On the day Lady Louise turned 20, her cousin, the Prince of Wales, stated that he wants to achieve real social change, which will mean focusing on fewer issues but giving them more time. It is unclear whether Prince William's vision will extend to the royal family or whether this decision will mean more duties for others. Lady Louise, hopefully, is enjoying the life that all 20-year-olds should lead and having fun behind closed doors without fear that it will become public knowledge to those who have no business knowing. The lack of His or Her Royal Highness has helped shield her from prying eyes. Privacy or princess, the eternal dilemma.